Alright, I just wanted to make a video, the audio is probably bad. Anyways, I just wanted to make a video where I give some advice to people who are aspiring animators. And I'm just going to talk a bit about how I got started with animation. So as a child, I loved the Rankin Bass films. If you don't know Rankin Bass, they did like Year Without a Santa Claus, Jack Frost, Rudolph Shiny New Year. That was my favorite growing up. If you haven't seen Rudolph Shiny New Year, you should watch it. It's really strange, to be honest, because it's a Christmas film, yes, but it's also a New Year's film, and it's an Easter film, and it's I feel like that one just is a lot of things. It's just a year in review kind of film. I don't know. And it's been a bit. I watched it last year, some point during last year, but it's not fresh in my mind. So maybe the Easter part is wrong and I'm mixing it with the Peter Cottontail movie, but I'm pretty sure there's an Easter part of it. But yeah, I'm not going to say much about it. You should just watch it. It's a Rudolph Shiny New Year. It's a very strange movie, and it's only 40 minutes, so it's got a nice quick length. You can get through it pretty fast. That's definitely got to be my favorite of the Rankin Bass films. I also really like Year Without a Santa Claus. That Miser Brothers song is just fire. Everyone knows that. I mean, maybe not everyone, but probably a lot of you watching are familiar with the Miser Brothers. There's also a Miser Brothers Christmas, which came out in, I believe, 2008, and I love that. I haven't seen it since I was like 8 or 9, but I remember just loving it, and I should have rewatched it for Christmas this year. I didn't. This Christmas, I didn't watch much. I watched, everything I watched were Christmas movies. I watched Christmas in Pac-Land, which, if you don't know what that is, it's a Pac-Man Christmas special. It's fantastic. I recommend seeking it out. It's a little hard to find. I had to watch it on the Internet Archive, because it was a VHS-only thing. So it can be hard to find a good quality one, but it's out there. You can find it. And I watched something else. There was another Christmas short. I'm going to struggle to remember it. I can't remember it. And then I watched Void Man. That was the other one. And Void Man is... I've talked about Void Man. Anyways, this is about animation. This isn't about Christmas, but, you know, there's a lot of animated Christmas specials, so it kind of ties into that. Anyways, yeah, so that was kind of one of my early inspirations. You know, I also saw Disney movies. I really liked Princess and the Frog growing up. I actually wasn't a fan of the older ones, like, you know, the Sleeping Beauties and Cinderellas and what have you. Even, like, more recent, well, I say recent, not recent now, but I was born in 2000, so keep that in mind. Stuff like Beauty and the Beast, I wasn't a fan of. Little Mermaid, didn't like it. I loved Lilo and Stitch growing up, and still I love those movies. And the TV show. The TV show is great. If you've never seen the Lilo and Stitch show, yeah, I think it's worth watching. They really expand on the lore of Lilo and Stitch, because this is a minor spoiler for Lilo and Stitch. I'm sure a lot of people know this. It's literally revealed like so early in the movie. But Stitch's name is Experiment 626. And, you know, that implies there's over 600 of these creatures out there. The show shows you all the creatures. And you get to see more of them. There's also one named Reuben, who he likes eating sandwiches. He's really funny. He shows up a lot in the show. He's like the goon of the one of the bad guys. I forget the guy's name. It's been so long since I've seen anything Lilo and Stitch. I had a Lilo and Stitch video game that was so fun. It was on my computer. One of my favorite games. I want to speedrun it one day. So yeah, those were some early inspirations. I really like, you know, some Henry Selick films, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Corpse Bride, James and the Giant Peach, which, yes, they're Henry Selick movies. I'm not gonna call it a Tim Burton movie. He wrote the poem that Nightmare Before Christmas was based on. That's why it's Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, but that's pretty much a lie. He didn't direct it like most people would think. It's definitely more Henry Selick than anything. And Henry Selick would do stuff with Leica. I think he formed it. I'm not entirely sure the history of Leica, but I'm pretty sure that's Henry Selick's company, which they did like Kubo and the Five Strings. I think that's the name. The Missing Link, which I haven't seen that one, or Kubo. I'd like to see them someday. Paranorman, I haven't seen that one either. I kind of fell off watching these movies after a certain point. But I have a lot of respect for it. I mean, they're just such beautiful movies. The stop motion in those is incredible. And if you watch behind the scenes, you'll see how much time and dedication and love is put into these films. I also really love Aardman stuff. If you don't know Aardman, they do like Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Run, those movies. They've got a very distinct style. You can kind of tell it's Aardman immediately when you see how their characters are made. I remember watching Curse of the Were-Rabbit in theaters, and that's such a fantastic movie. I mean, you want to see a truly beautiful stop-motion movie? Watch Curse of the Were-Rabbit. They have so many rabbits on screen running around, and there are these tiny bunnies all hopping around. It must have taken hours to move every individual bunny, and capture that all. I just can't imagine how long it took. Curse of the Were-Rabbit is an incredible film. The video game is crap. I tried to speedrun the video game. It sucks so much. But this ain't about video games. What's it called? I'm trying to think. SpongeBob was another one of my early animation inspirations. I love SpongeBob. I love Tom Kenny. I've met the guy. I have a photo with him. My teacher in high school had a band with Tom Kenny. She was in it. Tom Kenny was in it. A couple other people. They came to the school. They played songs. I remember they played SpongeBob music. They played that like, "Don't be a jerk. It's Christmas." Do, 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 do. And they played the fun song. I'm trying to remember what else. I don't know. If you're a SpongeBob fan, you know the stuff I just listed. It's all good stuff. SpongeBob is fantastic. Anyone, any age can love SpongeBob. And it's a show, I don't buy into this crap that it fell off. I know, Hillenburg stopped working on it after season 3. I think he was played more of a background role. But I don't think the show fell off. I think it changed. It definitely changed. The humor there's more gross out humor, which I don't think that's a bad thing. I know you might think I'm crazy for this, but I like stuff like the toenail scene. I like stuff like that one episode where I'm spoiling stuff now, but who cares? You probably know this stuff if you watch SpongeBob. Most people grew up watching SpongeBob, I would think. Although I knew people who didn't because their parents said SpongeBob is gay. He's gay for Patrick or some shit like that. Or maybe not for Patrick, but just he's gay. Which is like, what? He has a high-pitched voice, sure. And he's got a goofy laugh, but he's not gay. He's literally... I think if anything, you could make the argument that he's attracted to Sandy. Even then, like, they're not really romantic. They just do karate together. So... I don't know. I mean, that was always my assumption as a kid, right? Was Sandy was like his love interest, but there's no love interest in SpongeBob. Like that never happens. So, like he loves hamburgers more than he's interested in having sex. He's literally a fucking sponge. Come on. So that's such a stupid thing for people to say. The gay panic stuff is so stupid. People say the same about Tinky Winky from the Teletubbies. This isn't animated, but they say he's gay. He's literally like a 10-foot tall child who his favorite toy is a purse, which It's odd that his favorite toy is a purse, because it's not really a toy, but he's not gay. They're literally children. Like, they don't, there's no romance stuff in that show. I don't know why people try to argue that. And sure, purple is the gay pride color, but I think that's just a coincidence. Like, there's other colored Teletubbies too. So stupid. Anyway, SpongeBob, yeah. I don't think it ever fell off. And I watched it up till about season 9 or 10. And I loved it. I was like 14 or 15 when I stopped watching SpongeBob. But consistently, I would watch it. Actually, I was probably around 12, because that's when my parents got divorced and my dad kicked us out of the house. We were homeless when I was 12. So I wasn't watching as much TV. And I fell off watching cable. And I was gaming more. I got into WoW and stuff. Yeah. Eventually, the Sponge Out of Water movie came out, which you all should watch it. It's good. Steven Hillenburg worked on that. I'm pretty sure he directed and wrote that. Alongside another person. I can't remember the other person's name, but they're also a SpongeBob alumni. They've been, OG. I'm trying to remember who I actually can't remember the other person's name. There's no way I would remember it. But that movie's really good, and it's unfortunate how it was marketed, because literally, it seems like it's a whole 3D animated thing, which even if it was, I would not have cared. The 3D animation looks good. I like how the characters were modeled and stuff. It's funny. The stuff that happens outside of the water is funny. I was kind of annoyed because, well, this was before I had seen the movie. Spoilers for this one SpongeBob episode. There's an episode where they go out of the water and they don't look like 3D animated. They just look like real sponges and starfishes. It's a good gag. So I wanted them to look like that when they're out of the water, but it makes sense why they're 3D animated and stuff. If you've seen the movie, you know. But most of the movie is 2D. It's literally the last 20 minutes are 3D animated. So if the 3D animation has stopped you from watching that movie, you need to go watch it. If you're a SpongeBob fan, it is an amazing film, and SpongeBob fans will love it. I haven't seen the newer one, the Camp Coral movie, or no, Sponge on the Run's the name. I haven't seen that. I'd like to see it, and I need to at some point to get my opinion on it. I haven't seen Camp Coral, which is it's a 3D animated show where they're babies. It just didn't appeal to me. I might try it sometime. I have seen the first episode of the Patrick Star Show. I thought it was really well made and very funny. I'm going to just tell you the premise of the show. It all takes place in Patrick's mind, and it's really fun. I thought the show was really fun. I was laughing a ton. The first episode's on YouTube. I hope it's still up. That's how I watched it on the official channel. I think it was an official SpongeBob channel. Or Nickelodeon or something, but it was like official from Nick put on YouTube. And that show's good. I don't buy into the crap that the Patrick show's bad. I've only seen one episode, but I just judging from the quality of the first episode, it doesn't seem bad. And all the reviews I was watching was like there had only been one episode out, so I just don't agree with that, the hate that show gets. But anyways, SpongeBob definitely was one of my earliest inspirations for animation. I also really like Teen Titans. Teen Titans is just fantastic. Blend of American cartoons with anime and superheroes and stuff. It's just great. The video game is great too. I'd love to speedrun it sometime. I'll talk about my favorite episode of that. It's the episode with Mad Mod. And I'll give some minor spoilers. I'm just going to talk about the character Mad Mod. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but he's like a British guy. He's a magician. He's really cool. I don't know if he's exactly a magician, but he's trippy. There is a magician character, though, in the show. Mumbo Jumbo, I think is his name. I don't remember. Tom Kenny voices him, I'm pretty sure. He's green. He's got a big pointy nose. I'm pretty sure it's Tom Kenny doing the voice. But yeah, and a cool thing about that Mad Mod episode, I had actually met the director of that episode. He directed a few of the Teen Titans episodes, and I didn't even realize it, but for months I had been talking to this guy who worked on Teen Titans, because, I like going to the Beverly, and he's another regular there. It's so crazy, the people you'll meet at the Beverly. You don't even realize, like, you're a fan of the stuff they've done, and you're just talking to them casually about movies and stuff, and you just have no clue for months. I was pretty mind blown when I found out who he was. He's a really cool guy. I enjoyed talking to him. Another inspiration, Invader Zim. Invader Zim, I was one of the early fans. I watched it before it got canceled. Actually, maybe I didn't. I think it got canceled in 2002. My timeline with Invader Zim is kind of, I don't know, but I definitely was a fan of it pre, like, it being in Hot Topic and kind of being a big thing on the internet. Not to take away from anyone who became a fan later. I just say that to say I've been a fan for a really long time. I love that show. And it's another one that's gross. It's got some gross episodes. I'm going to give us spoilers for one episode. It's probably the grossest episode. So you probably know of it if you know what I'm talking about. But it's the one where Zim is, like, making a meat suit. And he's, like, eating the children. He gets all fat and they're all in his body. And it's just gross. That show has a lot of gross stuff. But it's great. If you like gross stuff, it's good. Which I like gross stuff. Another one, Danny Phantom. I loved Danny Phantom growing up. A lot of Nick stuff. Nick and Cartoon Network were what I grew up on. Danny Phantom's a fantastic show. I'd like to rewatch it someday, because I struggle to remember it. I mean, I remember a bit of it, like he goes ghost, and he's got his dad and his mom, and the theme song's so fire for that show. I wanted to rap over it, but I never could write anything for it. I'm not sure if I ever rapped over a cartoon's theme song. I know I did, I think it was Toxic by Britney Spears, and something else. I've rapped over those, but I don't think I've ever done a cartoon. I've done the Mega Man 2 theme song as well. I have a song. It's called Fuck. And there's actually, we did an updated version of it. We didn't update the lyrics much, but we re-recorded it and we called it Fuck. Anyways, my music and stuff from that era I don't really share, because my dead name is in a few songs and I don't want to put that out on the internet. But it's out there if you search hard enough. Anyways, this is about animation. Now I'm struggling to remember. Oh yeah, Courage the Cowardly Dog. That was what I wanted to talk about. That's another one. Freaky stuff. That was a big inspiration on me growing up. It scared the shit out of me, but I loved it. Trying to think. Was there anything else? Probably not. I think that's pretty much sums up my early inspirations with animation. And I was born in 2000. So I was about 4 or 5 when I really started being able to understand TV and, like, have memories of watching TV and stuff. And I didn't watch only cartoons, I was like a Power Rangers fan. I liked other stuff. Power Rangers is the only one that really stands out in my mind right now. I didn't really like live action stuff too much. Like, I hated, stuff like Drake and Josh. Hated it. It wasn't until iCarly that I started, like, being like, okay, I kind of like these live action shows. But yeah, stuff like that. The George Lopez show I didn't like. Hannah Montana. Anything Disney, I hated the Disney Channel. Like, as a kid, you could not get me to watch the Disney Channel. And still to this day, I don't think I could really watch Disney Channel stuff. Because those sitcoms are kind of trash. Sorry to the Disney Channel fans. I couldn't do it. I'd see the commercials, the Zoe 101s and the, I can't even remember. Sweet Life with Zach and Cody, Sweet Life on Deck. I just didn't like them. Thought they were trash. And, but I liked iCarly. That was kind of when I was giving them a chance. But that's not my style of sitcom. If you want my style of sitcom, that's got to be like Always Sunny. Those guys can make a good sitcom. But anyways, so yeah, that probably sums up my early inspirations with animation. And I remember I did a bit of stop motion at a certain point. I don't know if I ever did any before this class. I knew how to do it, but I don't know if I ever went out and actually did it with my Legos and stuff. Because I had made a live action film, which I don't want to say the name of because I don't want people to find it. I'm probably going to use footage from it in Crackhead City, maybe. I also thought about making a movie that was just a compilation of all my my films pre-transition. But we'll see. I still want to do something like that and get these films out there. Yeah, so I made, for my art class, we had to make something on the Civil War. So I made a stop motion animation with my friend Tyler, who we later would go on to play music together. We had a thrash metal band, and he was the drummer. He replaced the person I made rap music with. He replaced them and became our drummer when they quit the band. I quit like a month later, so we didn't play music together long. But yeah, Tyler was a friend of mine, and we made this animation on the Civil War. Basically, it was about a dude who takes mushrooms and wakes up as like a foot with a face, and he's in the Civil War. He's like, my friend Tyler voiced everything. Was like, "Whoa, where am I?" And then I was like, "You're in the Civil War, dude." And he walked around and like talked to people. I remember he talked to like a northern soldier and was like, why are you fighting? And he's like, because we want to free the slaves. And then he went to the southerners and they're like, yeah, we're fighting so we can have our slaves or something like that. And then because at first he doesn't like being in the Civil War, and then he's eventually like, I think I like it here in the Civil War. I'm going to stick around and find myself a Civil War wife. And then he wakes up from the trip, and he's back in the real world. He's like, no, I want to go back to the Civil War. It was only like a minute or two long. It's lost now. It's the only way it would still exist is if Tyler somehow had a copy, and I doubt it. And maybe my teacher would have one in her email, but shit, I wouldn't know how to get a hold of her. And she was my teacher when I was 12. She probably doesn't have that shit anymore. I'd really like to get that. That's like one of that and the DuckTales thing I made, it was just me singing DuckTales and punching chickens in Minecraft. That's lost too. I really like that because at the end of it I go like DuckTales, whoa! But I can't do it now because my voice was way higher pitched then, but it's so high pitched when you hear it in the video. It's so funny. It's gone now. Anyways, that was probably the first animated thing I ever made, was that stop motion video. And then it would kind of be a while until I would animate again. I remember I started getting into like using this thing called paint.net. I would make Minecraft skins with it. And then eventually I wanted to use it to make animations. So I made the Leaf Village Adventures 1. I only ever made one, so I don't know why I titled it 1. I was planning to make more. But it's like 19 seconds long. It's Steve Buscemi in an Akatsuki outfit going up to the Rock in a Rock Lee outfit. And he's like, how do you do, fellow kids? And then the Rock goes, if you smell what the Rock is cooking. And then he goes, he peed on it. And then the Rock goes, you want to know what I think? And then Steve goes, he peed on the dude's rug. And then the Rock goes, it doesn't matter what you think. And then the Rock shoots lasers out of his eyes and he melts Steve Buscemi's head off. And that is going to be in Crackhead City. It's definitely going to appear in there somewhere. So that was like one of my early animations. Like, okay, I could do animation, but then I never kept doing it after that. Well, I didn't never, obviously, but it was a while till I would start animating again. I I think I was 18 or 19 the next time I would try animating again. And I made this this one that was like, I wanted to try making a spiral appear like that. I drew 1,000 frames for it because I wanted it to look really clean and like smooth. Foolish me, I did not need to spend that much time doing it, but I did. I really overcommitted to it, and that's also in Crackhead City. I then made another one called Smoke Weed. It was like supposed to be like a hypnosis video to make you want to smoke weed. And it's like me, I do 4 different poses. And then I what's it called? I had it just say smoke weed, smoke weed, smoke weed, and it was changing colors and it had text. Anyways, it was supposed to make you want to smoke weed when you watch it. And I don't know why I wanted to make like a smoking weed hypnosis. I just thought it was funny, you know, because like most hypnosis is like, well, I guess I probably was thinking about like Sissy Hypno, and it was like my own version of that. I mean, if I'm being blunt about where my inspiration for it came from, but it's definitely not in the style of those videos. I would not recommend searching out Sissy Hypno porn. If it's something you want to watch, you probably already watch it. I don't recommend watching it, but yeah, that probably was where I got the idea to make like a hypnosis video. And so then I did, what did I do after that? I don't think I did much. Oh yeah, I was gonna make Office Quest, which I'd still like to make Office Quest. It was a movie about a robot who like goes to the office, and he was going to be like the main character to start, but then there was like a bunny in the office who becomes the main character, and you realize like the robot's like a fascist and like an evil boss, and like the bunny has to escape the office. But I never made it, and there was like a robot character who was like a female Iron Man kind of, although she only had like robot legs that had like jetpacks on them. I never got super far with it. I kind of lost passion for it. But all these animations I would do in Paint.net, at least for the drawings, and I would edit in Adobe Premiere, which Paint.net is a great program. It's free. If you just type Paint.net, you will be taken to a Paint website. You have to type Paint.net and Google search it to find the actual program. But yeah, it's really good for making animations. And just for drawing. I made Minecraft skins with it. That's how I got started. And then it would be kind of a while until I would animate again. I'm trying to remember what came next. Well, I think I started working on, maybe it was Buck and Chuck, which that's not released yet, but Buck and Chuck, I wanted to make a pilot for a kids show. And so I was making Buck and Chuck, and I'd still like to make it, but I had the idea to turn it into like an anthology movie, and I don't want to spoil much about the plot, so I'm not going to say much other than it's about 2 best friends, Buck and Chuck, and their adventures. And that's one of my best animated things, but I lost passion for it because I was trying to do this squid animation, and I was doing it 30 frames a second, and it's just killed my passion for animating, at least with that project. You know, like for 10 seconds of footage, it's literally like 300 images, and I just was so burnt. I still have like 10 seconds to animate, and it's sitting on my computer. I hope my computer actually boots when I plug it in again, because I don't want to lose that. It's one of my favorite things I've made. I also have Crackhead City, which I have about 20 minutes completed of. That I've been slowly working on. And some segments of it you've seen, like Completely Normal House Tour. That is a part of Crackhead City, which you can't see it anymore. I took it off my channel. But it is on Scream It Off Screen's channel, which they are a online film competition I entered, and it was in that. I didn't win, but I was selected, and my film played. It's one of my favorite things I've made, definitely. Completely Normal House Tour is the name. I made it I didn't draw anything in that video. I'm actually in a program called, I think, 3D Worlds. It's a dead MMO, but you can still play it, and it's really cool. I want to make a movie entirely in there, just using a green screen and stuff. So then, yeah, once I kind of became homeless, I wasn't sure how to animate at this point, and I found an app called Stop Motion. Well, I knew how to animate, obviously, but I didn't have my computer anymore. So I found an application called Stop Motion, which you can do stop motion with, but you can also draw on it. So that's how I did, like, Chainsaw Elf. I think I took that down, but I made Chainsaw Elf in there. That was literally just an elf with a chainsaw, no audio. It's like 8 seconds long, looping animation. Yeah, I've done some animation in that. And I've also done stop motion with it as well. I was just kind of experimenting. If you've seen, like, Broken Bottle Nature, I think Condom on the Floor, stuff like that, that was done with the stop motion app. And I privated those videos as well, because they're all segments in Crackhead City, and I don't want them up for too long. But, what's it called? Yeah, the other program I found helpful is, I do have a laptop that I sometimes use. It's hard to get charged. But I found a program called OpenTunes, and that has been wonderful. It's better for drawing than Paint.net. I like Paint.net for some things more. It is easier in some ways, but that program, the onion skin feature is a lot more convenient than using layers, which I would use layers in Paint.net, and pretty much like, I would take the layer and I would move it, and then I would draw over it and delete the bottom layer, and then I would take the layer, move it, draw over it, and that was how I would make animations with Paint.net. It's a very simple process. It looks great, and sometimes I wouldn't even redraw it. I would just kind of like cut out parts of the image and rotate them on a separate layer and stick it where I wanted, and then fill in the parts that look crappy and get it to look nice. Paint.net is fantastic. I can't say enough praise for that program. Let's see. Is there anything else I could talk about for my animations? I really don't know. Well, Joel. Yeah, I gotta talk about Joel. You'll hear me talk about him a lot in these videos because of how much he's inspired me. This was why I started animating again, because I saw his tutorial for how he does his animations, which he does like a rotoscoping with this program called Absinthe that uses AI to create the frames, and you just draw one image and then it'll create all the frames. You might need to draw more than one because sometimes it blurs and it doesn't look great, but and if a character like turns their head, how is the program going to know what this side looks like? Like maybe they have gems all over the side of their head or something, and how would the program recognize that? So you have to draw multiple frames usually. But you've probably seen Absinthe animations. You've probably seen Joel's animations. He's done those like speedrunning ones, speedrunning RPGs, and yeah, his animations are great. I love them. It's huge inspiration for me because I remember seeing them and thinking like, there's no way he's drawing every individual frame. That's not what he's doing here. But what is he doing? I wanted to find out. And then his tutorial was so helpful. It's like one of the best animation tutorials. Super helpful. I recommend searching that up. It's like how I animated this video, Joel Haver. Or if you just type Joel Haver animation tutorial, you'll find it. It's on his channel, and yeah, he's very inspiring. I had it in my head when I wanted to talk about next, and I'm losing it. Fuck. I'm drawing a blank. There was some other animation thing I wanted to talk about. No, I don't know. Anyways, I'll talk about Plotagon. So Plotagon is a program I use now to make 3D movies. If you've seen Cog Dating, that's a 3D animated film. Entirely animated by myself, written by myself, everything. The characters were randomly generated. You can randomly generate characters. I named them, because usually they have generic names. I gave them funny names, like, Fredopolis is one of the characters, Jessima, Sanchesica, Alexisi. I just gave them, like, strange names. It's a strange film, but I'm super excited. It comes out Valentine's Day. If you've seen the trailer or you've seen it, you probably see it on my channel sitting there like premiering this day. I'm super excited, super proud of that film, and I'm also working on one, Satan Gang Murders, within the app. But that's a really good program, really great. Let's see. Was there something else? Oh yeah, rotoscoping. Okay, I remember now. Another inspiration. This is a more recent one, but the Richard Linklater film Waking Life, which maybe you don't recognize the name Richard Linklater. Probably if you know film, you recognize the name. But he directed Dazed and Confused, and you remember that movie Boyhood that it was filmed over 12 years and stuff? He did recently Apollo 10 and a half. Richard Linklater's awesome, one of my favorite directors. Yeah, that movie Waking Life is so inspiring. It's a film that fills me with anxiety to watch, but it also makes me feel so inspired to make shit and live my life. And such a beautiful, purposeful film. Very human. Anyways, that inspired me a lot. I want to make something like that, but about transgender people. So yeah, I think that's all my animation inspiration and kind of how I make animations. This video got long. I'm looking at the timer. We're up to 36 minutes. I wanted to try to remember if I had anything more to say before I end it, but I feel like I've really kind of given it all to you and set all my inspirations in terms of animation and how I actually do my animations. I don't do hand-drawn stuff, although I'd like to. I'd like to get back into stop motion, and actually I have done a little bit of that with the stop motion app, and I was drawing on plates for a while because I didn't have canvases, so I was just using markers and paper plates because it was all I could afford. And I would use spoons. I would draw on spoons, and you've probably seen, if you've seen, well, I'm going to give some minor spoilers for one of my films where I'm just going to say the film that I use spoon puppets in. It's not really a big deal to know that there are puppets made out of spoons. What does that really spoil? But anyways, Raw Loves Almora, I used the puppet spoons, and that was actually... This is going to give you a bit of insight into how that film was made. I made that 4 or 5 months before I filmed any of the stuff with Raw and Almora and the inanimate objects. Not that the puppet spoons aren't inanimate objects, but just the other ones. The puppet spoon segment was filmed way before, and I decided to combine it because I did not have the ability to continue working on that. I could have, but the puppet spoons all are kind of destroyed or lost, or they got vomited on, a lot of them. And, yeah, it's just not good. The colors faded. I don't think a lot of them got vomited on, but some of them did, because I had them in my cup holder, and foolishly, I was drinking in the car. I got blackout drunk one night, and it's actually the last time I drank. I'm sober now. It was a big wake-up call. But yeah, I ended up throwing up in here, and, sadly ruining some of the spoons. But yeah, they're sitting in my center console, a lot of them, but the color faded, and I just didn't want to continue that project. It was going to be called Bobby and the Egg Lady, which I kind of based it on Cog Science, because Bobby is a character from Cog Science. I wanted this to be in the cinematic universe of Cog. I was thinking this would be a TV show that is it's not actually Bobby, it's just someone with puppets of him making the TV show was my concept for it. And you would never find this out. This would never be mentioned in the movie. There was no humans planned to be in it. I just, in my head, that was my thoughts. And probably post Cog Science, if I made more films with this character, he would appear as a character who was on television and stuff, and actors portrayed him in shows because he's famous now after Cog Science. And I'm still gonna make Cog Science one day. You'll see. I wrote the role for my brother originally. Bobby was gonna be my brother, but I had to fire him. He he pissed me off because he was like saying he wanted to make a movie with me. So I stopped all work on Buck and Chuck to focus on writing a script that my brother could act in. And then finally time comes and he doesn't want to do it. And I was like, what the fuck? So I was pissed and I told him, you're fired. You're never working on a movie with me again. We're done. And I know that might sound over dramatic and stuff, but yeah, I was just really hurt at the time because I spent all this time and effort writing this script and then he didn't even want to do it. And he probably never was gonna. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe I'll play Bobby. I also have a friend who I know would be perfect for it. But I don't know if I could get him to do it. But he would be a really good Bobby. He's got the voice for it. He's got the look. Like, I just think, like, yeah, the way he looks is totally how I envision Bobby. I don't really envision myself as Bobby. Like, I could do it, but I don't, like, see myself in that character at all. The only reason I would do it is because he's the main character, so it'd just be easy. But I wanted to play, her name is Batty. She's another character. I wanted to play her if I played anyone, but really I didn't want to, because Batty, I wanted a black woman to play her. And I usually am not the type to be like, you have to be a certain race to play the character. But I just think for the story, it's more empowering if the character was black. And it just fits more with who she is and, like, her struggles and what she goes through. So, yeah, I probably won't play Batty. If anything, I think in that film I would play, there's a character named Liberto. He's a lobster man, and he has a wife. I think I would just play Liberto and his wife. I'd play both characters. The wife you never see on screen. She's just on the phone kind of bitching at him. And if I've sung some of the Cog Science musicals, so maybe you know some of these characters from that. Liberto, I actually don't even... Well, I don't want to spoil stuff about Cog Science. But yeah, I feel kind of sorry that I said that stuff that I did, but also I don't really regret it because it's not that big of a spoiler, and who's even going to remember this when the time comes for the movie? It really doesn't spoil anything. The movie is about so much more than just these characters. It's literally got like 20 or 30 characters in the script, and it's very grand, a lot of locations, and I might even make it where I just play every character. I might make it as a claymation thing. I don't know. I've also thought I could just make it in multiple forms because I love the script so much, and I should do a script read sometime. I think I am going to do a script read on here and read through all of Cog Science because I really want to just get it out there for people to see. And, yeah, I've done that before. I didn't read the script, but I wrote a script for Cogzilla, the tranny who destroyed the world. That was on my channel for a bit. I think I took it down because I want to make that. I don't want people to just see it as like me making a pitch video for it. But yeah, I wanted to make a pitch video because I was watching Max Landis pitch videos, and I was like, oh, okay, I should make a pitch video. That'd be a good way to kind of get this idea out there. But I don't really like doing that because I want to make these at the end of the day. I don't want to just have it me like pitching it to people. And I wouldn't care if someone made it, but I would hope they would want to involve me in the creative process if they did. Anyways, I'm probably going to end things here. I don't have much more to say on that stuff. I'm getting off topic now. Oh, yeah, actually, I do have one more thing to say. I did find a program this year called 3DMM. It stands for 3D Movie Maker. It's an older program. It's, I think shovelware is the term. No, not shovelware. Abandonware, that's the term. It's been abandoned, so you can get it for free. It's a great program for making 3D animations. Very simple, but you can mod it a ton, and once you kind of learn the program and get going, you can make some cool stuff with that. I was working on something called the Dakagi Baby, which kind of was somewhat based on me, except not entirely, because where it goes is not something I would do or my life, but like just the baby, I'm just going to say one thing he doesn't like. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not spoiling much. He will only eat sushi, and he doesn't like hamburgers. And that was based on me as a child. So that's kind of where I got the inspiration to start making it. And I want to finish it because it's funny. I was thinking about making an anthology, but I might just use it as a part of Crackhead City. I don't know. Crackhead City is a very experimental movie, but it's also like autobiographical, and it's not going to sit there and hold your hand while you watch it, but if you know me and you know my life and you just watch the movie and stuff, you'll learn more about me, and if you already know about me, you'll get it. You'll really get the film. It's a very personal film. Anyways, thank you if you got this far in the video. I hope you enjoyed the talks. Hopefully you found some new programs to animate with. Maybe it inspired you to start animating. I don't know. But animation is not hard, and you don't need to go to school for it. In fact, if you're thinking about going to school for it, I'm not going to discourage you from that, but I am going to say, start learning now. Do not wait for your classes to start, because you can find all those classes you're going to take on YouTube, literally. Like, colleges post their lessons to YouTube. You can just search, and other people make tutorials, not just colleges. That's probably could be better than what your professor is teaching you, because they have it summed up in a nice hour-long video instead of having to take a 4-month-long course or whatever. Really, you only need college if you want to work professionally, like in the animation industry. A degree goes a long way, because if you don't have a degree, they're just going to hire someone else with a degree. But if you're just making stuff to make stuff and it's for you, do not sit around waiting for college to learn how to animate. Do it before you go, because you are going to save yourself a lot of time and headaches, and also whatever you do learn in college, you're going to be able to absorb a lot easier and have a easier sort of launch pad to go off of, rather than having no knowledge going into the class. So yeah, any aspiring animators, start now. Start today. Do not wait. I'll give you some simple exercises to do. What I recommend, if you have never animated before, just literally record a clip of you talking. Just say anything. And then draw 2 frames. You can even draw just a face and its mouth open and its mouth closed. And then try to animate it talking and make it match up. Because that's a big thing you're going to be doing while animating, is just lip syncing. And it's annoying to do. I used to put effort into it, but now I could care less if it perfectly syncs up. Another exercise I recommend, just draw a ball, and then draw another ball in a different position, and then another ball, and try to make it look like the ball is bouncing around the room. And you can try putting the ball in different, spacing it differently to see what that looks like. You could try animating with higher frame counts for the ball. I recommend doing 12 frames is usually the standard for animation. You can do less or more. It really just depends what looks good. There's no set amount of frames you need per second for animation. And usually with mine, I switch it up. I don't always do, 24 frames a second. It changes and stuff. You'll see in Crackhead City, there's a 5-minute segment that's literally just animation. Silent animation, and it's interpretive, and it switches up pace and stuff. It goes from 7 to 12 to 24 FPS to 30 FPS to all around, and those aren't exact numbers. I can't remember what I used, but I switched it up and stuff. So yeah, those 2 exercises are good ones to start with. Another thing you can do is actually get your phone and record a real thing happening. So maybe you punching, you opening a jar, something. And then just take the frames, take the video, break it down into frames. Get however many you need to make a smooth looking animation. Don't make it look like it's a real thing. But take it and maybe anywhere from 5 to 12 frames per second, because the more frames per second, the more you're going to have to draw, the more you're probably going to lose interest midway through. So maybe 5 or 6 frames start with, whatever makes it look good in your eyes, and draw over them. and then play it back, and you'll have a rotoscoped animation. That's how Disney did it back in the day. Not on everything, but with their human characters. Like if you see Cinderella, the humans are animated that way. The animals and stuff aren't, which is why the animals always look better animated. And like if you watch, I don't know, like Alice in Wonderland, stuff like the Mad Hatter. I'm pretty sure that wasn't rotoscoped. He's a human, obviously, but he's very expressive and all over the place. Anyways, if you watch those older Disney movies, you'll know what I'm saying. The humans never look as good as like the creatures. They never do, because they're just the way they're animated. And maybe, you know, that is a subjective thing, but personally I don't think they look as good. And yeah, that is the third recommendation I'll give for exercises. Is just do some rotoscoping, see how that goes. And just try to find your voice as an animator. There's so many different ways to do it. You know, there's stuff like Blender too. Blender's a good tool. I've never learned it, but everyone talks about Blender who does 3D animation. I've heard only good things. So yeah, get out there, animate, make films, and follow your heart. And it doesn't have to be a feature-length animation. You know, animation is lengthy. It takes a lot of time. But if you just slowly work on it while in your free time, you'll get an animation done. Even if you just do like an hour a day and stuff, you can, with an hour's time, you can make some pretty damn good animations. All right. Hope you enjoyed the vid, and hope you found some new tools to animate with. I'll see y'all around.